This is TWiT.
This is an ongoing story, so it's kind of hard to nail down a person to talk to about this without there being constant updates. So I've been following along with this piece and wanted to share it. It's kind of my story of the week, but also one of our 3 stories this week. And it starts with Bernie Sanders. So let us kick things back to a Business Insider article about Bernie Sanders planning to travel to Alabama to meet with Amazon workers who are working to unionize. So this is kind of a wild story on its own, because this would be the first fulfillment center that's set to unionize. So this is Amazon's Bessemer Fulfillment Center. And the group there have been working to form a union. Workers at the fulfillment center have until Monday to vote on whether to form a union. And again, this would be the first that Amazon has had. This is a very unique thing because, as we've said, this hasn't happened before, but also because of the kind of traditional things that happen where you've got a company not doing illegal union busting techniques, but doing everything they can, kind of towing that line. And so you've got lots of different information being disseminated there, and lots of folks kind of trying to make sure people understand the good and the bad. Of course, Amazon says, hey, look, we are, there's not really a reason to have a union because we already provide the things that you would normally get if you had unionized. And so that should be enough. So that kind of went on from this article to Amazon's SVP of Worldwide Operations, Dave Clark, putting out a tweet where Dave Clark said, "I welcome Senator Sanders to Birmingham and appreciate his push for a progressive workplace." So this is in response to that Business Insider article he's posted this on Twitter. And this is what Dave Clark of Amazon says about Amazon. "I often say we are the Bernie Sanders of employers, but that's not quite right because we actually deliver a progressive workplace." Dave Clark goes on to say, "For our constituents, a $15 minimum wage, healthcare from day one, career progression, and a safe and inclusive work environment. So if you want to hear about $15 an hour and healthcare, Senator Sanders will be speaking downtown. But if you would like to make at least $15 an hour and have good healthcare, Amazon is hiring." Woo! Can we talk about how spicy that is for a second? My God. It's just the call out there. Yeah, muy spicy. So that is where things were as of, what was that Dave Clark tweeted? This was on March 24th. So yesterday, a little bit after, in the afternoon, Dave Clark rather tweeted this about Bernie Sanders. Then Wisconsin Representative Mark Pocan had some words to say in response to Dave Clark. So as Dave Clark had tweeted with the link to the Bernie Sanders article, Mark Pocan quote tweeted Dave Clark's thing about calling Amazon the Bernie Sanders of employers. And Mark Pocan says, "Paying workers $15 an hour doesn't make you a progressive workplace when you union bust and make workers urinate in water bottles." So there have been ongoing stories for quite a while about Amazon working workers to a point where the people who are doing the deliveries, they don't have time to go off the beaten path and find a restroom to use. And so they will urinate in water bottles and urinate in coffee cups and urinate in bushes and urinate on trees and all these different things in order to maintain their schedule. And also, of course, there have been ongoing conversations and reports about union busting tactics that Amazon has been working at this place. Well, that went on with Amazon News, which is Amazon's kind of PR Twitter account, responding to Representative Mark Pocan. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing Mark's last name, but I believe it's Pocan. Could be Pocan. But the Amazon News responded to say, you don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing, do you? If that were true, nobody would work for us. The truth is that we have over 1 million incredible employees around the world who are proud of what they do and have great wages and health care from day one. Then I believe that was like part one. Part two says, we hope you can enact policies that get other employees to offer what we already do. So, more spice. But Vice came in to say, let's not just leave it there. Let's take this a step further to kind of decide whether or not that's true. So Vice got in touch with some different delivery drivers who work for Amazon, confirmed that they did indeed work for Amazon, and showed bottles with urine in them that these Amazon delivery drivers had used to do their restroom breaks. Now, this is one of the quotes from one of the drivers. We're pressured to get these routes done before nighttime, and having to find a restroom would mean driving an extra 10 minutes off path to find one. 10 to 15 minutes to find a bathroom can add up, meaning 20 to 30 minutes there and back altogether. They said, I can tell you that if I drove to find a restroom, that I would be bringing back packages every night, and that would eventually mean I would get infractions, which would lead to termination. So that's the important thing to understand here is that these Amazon delivery drivers are kind of put out to get these packages delivered by the time, sun goes down, by the time it's night. And if they don't, and they have to bring back packages, after so many packages brought back, or so many times of packages being brought back, they get infractions. Infractions add up and lead to being fired. So there is an incentive to keep on the road, to keep going. And also another Amazon driver said that the best drivers, and by best, meaning the ones who can deliver the most in a day, they get overtime. So there's incentive to cut corners. The most productive drivers get rewarded the most hours. So for drivers who are looking for more hours to make more money, they are even more incentivized to not take restroom breaks. There are several different places online, including a subreddit where Amazon drivers talk about urinating in bottles or urinating in other things, garbage bags, hedges, hand sanitizer canisters, loads of different places that people are urinating because they don't have a time to stop. And even a Pringles can, which was really frightening.
That is a little bit frightening.
Perhaps the most disturbing part of this, other than the fact that these employees are being incentivized to not take restroom breaks, is that oftentimes these will get left in the trucks. And so there was one instance where someone said that they left their urine bottle in the cup holder of the truck. And so when the next person got in, they found that there, just sitting there. And some people have posted photos of, I found this in the back of a truck where someone had, urinated and left it there. I think overall, there's on the face of it, there's some kind of bizarro nature to it that makes us all go, what's going on? But underneath it is a really kind of concerning situation where you have people who feel driven to, to not do what they would normally do, the call of nature, so to speak, because if they do, it could eventually lead to them losing their jobs. And so the disinformation from Amazon News saying that, the peeing in bottles thing doesn't happen essentially is not great, because it's clear that it happens. I mean, if they had even argued, it's not as if everyone urinates in bottles as they're driving or something like that. That is at least a little bit more truthful, accurate than to just completely kind of gaslight everybody by saying that it doesn't happen at all, that it's not real. And I don't know, I'm curious too, Jason, kind of the overall story here talks about, we pay $15 an hour, we give healthcare from day one, but those are only part of the story, right? I mean, when one applies for a job, one might be offered a good salary, or in this case, a good wage, and they might be offered healthcare. But if the requirements for that are that you can't even take a restroom break without fear of losing your job, then there's still something wrong there. And I think that speaks to a toxic, I hate to use that word because that word's been misused, or not necessarily misused, but it's like we've sort of taken that word. It
covers a lot of different ground. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And people kind of gloss over it now, but it is not a good, it is not a good work environment that leads to folks feeling like they have to, because I don't know about you, but I certainly don't like to urinate in bottles if I can help it, and have only ever done that. I can remember as a kid when you're on a long road trip and then you have to use the restroom, and then your parents like, look, and this is, I think, more apt for folks who have certain hardware. Anyway, my point is, nobody ever.
Your point is, you only do
it
it if you absolutely have to.
That's
you don't choose to do it.
Yes, exactly. So it's not as if this is normal and this is something that they want to do, and they're just doing it because it's easy. No, they're doing it because you have to use the restroom. Keeping urine inside of yourself for longer periods of time can lead to all sorts of issues, including kidney infection. So, it's not a good thing. And to have this being encouraged is really, and that's the thing that I don't like about this too. And I know I'm kind of rambling, but what I don't like about this is that Amazon almost is saying, well, we don't encourage people to do that, and so it shouldn't be something that is an issue. But even if you're not actively encouraging someone to do that, if the policies and the system you have in place lead to this, then it's worth looking into and seeing what's going wrong here that causes this.
Yeah, that's exactly summarizes how I feel about this, right? Like whether Amazon encourages it or not, which it sounds like they're saying we don't encourage it. It's not like the company directive. You need to pee in bottles in order to make your deliveries. Of course, they're not saying that. No company would ever say that. But the structure around the work environment and the drive, it's the Silicon Valley drive to push, more, faster, better, stronger, but applied to this like real world thing that's outside of the world of technology, which is the challenges of delivery. And that's been around for decades, for a whole lot longer than the technology industry has been around, pushing this idea of faster, better, stronger, whatever. If there are drivers that are doing this, and it seems that there are, then that is an institutional failure on Amazon's part to create a work environment that allows people to feel like they can do things that are requirements of being a living animal in this world, which is just simply to have the time and the ability to go to the bathroom without risking your place in this company. And,
yes.
If they weren't on the road and they were in a factory or whatever, like we've heard about this in factories as well, people working in the Amazon factories have felt intense pressure to continue working through discomfort as well. So this is not just about the drivers. It's just in general, the company kind of focus, and for them to say, oh yeah, but we pay really well. We pay $15 an hour. That misses the point. It's like, okay, that, and what else? Do you also take care of your employees in very basic core ways, like giving them the ability to go to the bathroom without risking their job? Because that's pretty important, Yeah, and I also like this tweet from Amazon News. Like, I get it. Technology companies, when it comes to Twitter, especially, but some of these social media companies, it's like they want to put a human face onto these things, so that it's not just a company, like memo that's being blasted out. And so sometimes they think that humanizing these social media posts is a good thing, but in this case, it's kind of a bad look. Like, it really makes it seem like someone's just behind the keyboard, like, oh yeah, you really think that peeing in bottles thing is real? Yeah, whatever, and it's like, that's your company image. That's like your company megaphone. It's kind of ridiculous.
I want to, in the chat, there was some conversation about what do FedEx drivers and UPS drivers do. And I think that we have to be aware of the difference that are happening, the differences that exist at these companies, where these delivery drivers, like, I don't personally know the rules that FedEx has in place for its drivers, and if they are incentivized to get more hours versus Amazon. And the same goes for UPS. It's very well the likelihood that these companies are not as driven to that productivity. I mean, because we have to look at kind of the company culture overall. And Amazon, for the longest time, whether it's working at their corporate offices in the tech sphere, where there were employees getting fired because they're in the bottom, 10 percentile or whatever, versus the top performers there. The same might not be true for FedEx and UPS. That would require looking into FedEx and UPS's own kind of rules and regulations surrounding that, or talking to a FedEx or UPS driver to see if that happens. But regardless of whether FedEx and UPS drivers are urinating in bottles because they feel they need to, that does not mean that the Amazon drivers are not urinating in bottles because they feel they need to. They are, and they feel they need to, in order to maintain the output that's expected of them. And I think it is incredibly easy to say, oh, well, companies have to make money, so we just have to, that's just what companies do. It's very easy to say that, and it's lazy to say that. And I think that it's jaded to say that. But let's say, yes, companies do that. Let's try to make that not the situation. Let's strive for better. And if it means shining a light on a company that's doing this to make a change, then, and if it requires unionization and somebody like Bernie Sanders coming to kind of strike up unionization efforts to make a change, if it means that human beings get to have restroom breaks added to their daily schedule that do not result in infractions that lead to termination, then that's fantastic. And we can't just go, well, companies are working on their bottom line, I guess we'll just ignore it. No, we can't ignore it. And I'm glad that Vice and Representative Mark Pocan and Bernie Sanders and whomever else and whatever else is out there paying attention to this are doing so. And I think that that's a good thing. And that's a not lazy thing. That's a not jaded thing. That's a positive thing. And we have to look past that, what's the word? Apathy that exists about capitalism, and strive for better and hope for more from these companies. And if that makes me a bright-eyed lunatic, then by golly, that's what I am.